My friend, I want to talk to you about a word which I would never want to say, and I vowed never to say because of the wrath and the consternation and the penalties that all of us in this particular medium, or as they say in the mob world, genre, those of us in this genre have experienced, and that's the word Pizzagate. I can't even believe I said this. I can't believe I said this. This was verboten. They didn't want to, if you said it, you were through, which means it's true. Remember, you only take flack when you're over the target. This is called Pizzagate for morons. Not that you're a moron, but you know how they say dummies, this for dummies. This is for somebody who woke up out of a coma. And I want you to start from square one, okay? I want you to forget everything that was done. Everything that was said. I want you to imagine you've never heard the name, and I'm going to tell you what it means and what's the significance of it, because that's where we need to start. Number one, I'm not going to give you the history, a little bit, what you need to know. First, there are people in this world, purveyors of, you can call it a sect, a group, a cabal, a consortium, a coven, a cadre of people who enjoy, predation or being predatory against children. It goes back through the Middle Ages. It goes back to Hollywood. It goes back. And we can, if you want to talk about the sources of this, fine. Some people will say it's Satan. It's evil. Whatever makes you, whatever you are comfortable with, fine. It's irrelevant. Who cares? Let me tell you the way it happened. First, people involved at the highest of levels don't care whether what they're doing is seen or noticed. They feel insulated and they feel that they're in a bubble. They feel that they are protected from everybody. They feel as though anything they say and do is okay because they are who they are. Why they write things down in emails, I will never know. Why? Drug messages are sometimes a little bit more coded than this. The FBI has said and has repeated and has stated that in various communities, you can call them pedophiles. I don't use that word. I call them predators. There are people in the world of child predation, either through exploiting through media, pictures, novelty, not really prostitution because a child cannot commit prostitution, but those. And they are themselves not in any way attracted to this. It's business. There are people who traffic in rare animals or shark fins or rhino horns or drugs or stolen art. If they can make money, they'll do it. So there's a whole bunch of people who don't care anything about this. They were the ones who in the old days, around the 60s, around Times Square, they were into the pornography world. And those, oh my God, they would film anything. Vivisection, crush films, name it. But they themselves were not necessarily of the particular predilection, okay? So I know people love the word. Just like the word conspiracy has been blown out of proportion. It's not a conspiracy. People use the word conspiracy to mean something that's crazy or an alternative theory. If you want to use the word pedophile, these are called predators. And if you say that they are involved in some kind of weird, and here we go with this satanic, people love this Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick, they love to romanticize it. And frankly, they sound crazy. There are people that I wish I could pick up the phone, if they had a phone, and say, shut up. You are ruining this thing. You're making us look like we're nuts because you're getting too much into the narrative, too much into the medieval, too much into the storyline about evil, and they love satanic, Luciferian. They throw terms around, just like they, in the city of New York, which is an example, we have this lunatic, stupid mayor, and they're calling him a socialist, a Marxist, a communist. He's none of that. He's none of that. He's in the welfare. It's a welfare giveaway. It's a welfare economy. It's not. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. The reason why it matters, those people who know what Marxism is and socialism, they look at these people and say, you're an idiot because you're using this, again, as this generic term for anybody who's very liberal. A conspiracy is for anybody who has an alternative theory. I don't think the buildings fell because of jet fuel. I think they fell because of controlled demolition. That's a conspiracy. No, it's only a conspiracy if the buildings were brought down by two or more people who were joined in a confederation. Then it's a conspiracy. You see what I'm saying? This is a word they've used. It's like the word, like protein. Everything's got to have protein. People say, you got to understand something. You got to have protein. Protein. The number of people in this country who have, unless you have kwashiorkor or something, the idea of protein is a rare, it's just, anyway, once it breaks through the blood-brain barrier and it gets into the current, if you will, currency of expression, that's it. So Pizzagate started initially from some weird people, and this Comet Pizza and the owners or owner, including Podesta and his brother, may have involved or may have been purveyors of strange art, strange sculptures, Jeffrey Dahmer tributes, all kinds of stuff. Take it and move it out of the way. Like a snowplow, just pushing it out of the way. We don't care about that. That's irrelevant. We don't care about that. That's not it. Don't worry about that. As I told you, the FBI and others said there are words people use for pizza and hot dogs. Oh, really brilliant. Pizza versus hot dogs. I mean, come on, stop it. And what they would do is they would sit there and they would email people like things like, hey, can we spread that pizza 7 ways? Yeah, I got some good pizza. Okay. I remember in the old days, in the 80s, during the big cocaine boom, people were on the phone when we had wiretaps saying, did you get the shirts? Yes. How much for the shirts? Were they quality shirts? How many, come on. Why are two Colombians talking about shirts? It's stupid. What did Pizzagate mean, really? It was a hint. It was a hint. It was an indication, an indicium of how sick people are and how people at various levels get into stuff which defies description. Now, the very people who were involved in themselves will take this and say as follows. The government, the entire government is manned by pedophiles. The entire government. And that's when you're saying, no, see, you lost me there. Nobody's listening to you. Now, what the bad guys do is they will take a story that you are saying, for example, if the story is, in the world, there are people who involve themselves in the victimization, sometimes of trafficking, and the predation of children, minors and otherwise, through human trafficking, familial human trafficking, the sextortion, labor. I mean, the children themselves are targeted. Some have been cultivated by Hollywood or pedowood or pedowood, as they call it, Hollyweird. They love names like that. To be the first one to coin some reference. Ooh, Hollyweird, that was mine. Are there people? Yes. There are people. Yes, there are people who are involving themselves in this. Yes. They are. We had instances with the Catholic Church. Was it the whole Catholic Church? No. But there were a significant numbers of dioceses or priests. So what they do is they love to take this and explode it. Because it's better. First of all, they just naturally are exaggerative. Number two, there's nothing. It's not very profitable to be rational, to say, well, it's this. Are there PEDs? Are there steroids? Yes, but the entire world of high school football is not. They just love to explain. Yes, everybody's on steroids. Versus a concern. So what they did was this. Let me go back. They took this case of people involving this planet. That's a cosmic pizza, and some weird people, with names whose names might be an anglicized version of l'enfant, which is the children. Okay, fine. And what they did was they said, is Pizzagate real? Now, what they do is the shadow government, the deep state, whoever these people are, or the predators themselves, they named it that. They're going to say, we're going to name this. Yeah. And they say, for example, they'll go to Snopes, or they'll go to PolitiFact, or they go to Wikipedia, which is the worst, and they'll say, what is it? And you say, Pizzagate is the belief that the federal government is filled with predators and pedophiles, and that the government is involved in a wholesale victimization of. Now, of course, that's not what anybody's saying, and that these predators work out of a Washington D.C. pizza place. They never said that. You said that. So they come up with a narrative that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Sometimes, for example, give me an example. You know the case about Trump and E. Jean Carroll? Remember that one? With this woman who seems, if she's not a lunatic, well, she should get the Irving Thalberg Award for it. What if I were in charge of Wikipedia, and I said that the E. Jean Carroll case was a belief that Donald Trump is involved in accosting and molesting women in the dressing rooms of high-end clothiers. You see, that's not what happened. Yes, it is. And is there any truth in that? No, there isn't. So you see what I did? I picked the narrative, and then I say, is there any truth to that? No. So therefore, I've debunked it. Chemtrails. People will say, is there anything to chemtrails? And if you go to Wikipedia and they say chemtrails are it's some crazy, ridiculous idea that condensation and vapor trails and water vapor are somehow parts of some desire to destroy the atmosphere. That's what we didn't say. We're talking about geoengineering. You said chemtrails. So what they do is they define the narrative. So what they do is they say Pizzagate. It's an international cabal, some weird twisted network of child predators working out of a D.C. pizza place in the basement, and where some lunatic went up and shot the place up, and that Hillary Clinton is involved. And they create the narrative, which is obviously not true. They debunk that, and therefore it goes in the record books as Pizzagate having been debunked. You see how that works? It's very clever. I redefine the narrative, and then I debunk it. Okay. That's it. If I were to say, let's say I were in charge of Wikipedia, climate change is the belief that polar bears are huddled together on ice cubes that used to be icebergs, and that this is all the product of cow farts and bovine flatus, and pouring money into it. Oh, and eating bugs will save the world. Okay, do you hear what I just did? I say this is the climate change, what I just said. Klaus Schwab, eating bugs, cow farts, and I throw it into a definition which clearly is not what, to be fair, that's not what climate change is. But I create the narrative, and then I debunk it. So therefore, you can say from now on, well, it's been proved that climate change is wrong. Well, go to Wikipedia, go to Snopes. See, it says right here, cow farts are not, and you say, I never brought up cow farts. You did. So that's what they've done. So, in the world of, this is interesting, the people who first turned everybody on to these weird, remember, after WikiLeaks, after these emails were dropped, after people sifted through this. And by the way, WikiLeaks was before AI. Thanks to AI, you can take how many pages? 3 million. No problem. Throw it into some AI program. It'll tell you how many pages, how many words, who's in it, cross-reference it, accusations, by subject, by date, yeah. In the old days, it was, we'll never get through all this. Now they do document dumps. No problem. AI will take care of that. So what happened was when WikiLeaks was first dropped, and that's a whole other story too. Remember Seth Rich? Remember that's another one. Remember, if they say it's a conspiracy theory, that's exactly what happened. They tell you. Their tell is by saying, you're crazy. There's nothing to it. Thank you. It's real. Why? Because that's what they do. Now, when these WikiLeaks, all of a sudden people were saying, well, this Podesta, what the hell's going on here? Here's an email. Hey, did you get, I'm paraphrasing. Hey, did you get the pizza? I like the pizza. This was a little undercooked. Too much cheese. What the hell are they talking about? Here's another one. I like that too. Pineapple, no way. Wolfgang Puck be damned. I'm extrapolating this. They have little triangles and they have little designs. Guess who, it is believed, were responsible for this? Guess who said, hey, those are pedophile. Those are our code words. Those are our symbols. That's our symbology. That's what we use. Guess who did that? Pedophiles on 4chan. They said, we know what we're doing. You're using our stuff. So that's like saying, hey, that's drug trafficking lingo. How do you know? Because we're drug traffickers. You're using our lingo. This is how it happened. Now remember, anybody who looks into it, it's killed. Why? Because at the time, who was it? Dorsey? Remember Fred Ziffel with the beard? He controlled Twitter, Wikipedia, YouTube. YouTube, please continue this open and brave and honest recitation and exploration of the truth. In your name, please, you've come to your senses. Thank you. Please, just please. We just want to discuss this subject. That's all we want to do, okay? That's all we want to do. Please. But in the old days, they just shot everybody down so nobody would get near it. Now, at the time when this was suppressed, we have these folks who popped up, supposedly, here come the air quotes, experts on Pizzagate. And not only that, they got into this stuff. They almost liked it more. And then they bring the children in through tunnels. Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket, through tunnels. We're on the west side in Hell's Kitchen. We have when the Hope or this hospital ship that came in. What was it called? The Hope or the? There's something or other. Whatever. It was a hospital ship. Remember that one? And we're watching, by the way, and nobody got off this was during COVID. People were saying, oh, no, they're taking children off and they're running them through tunnels. I said, across West Side Highway? What are you talking about? The comfort. And then they said, it's my assistant, by the way. And then they said they're gonna have tunnels in Central Park. Yeah, that's it. Tunnels. What tunnels? What are you talking about? And we sounded crazy. Remember that Wayfair? Remember that when they were sending children, supposedly, I don't know, whatever happened with this, in armoires and furniture and chifforoos, and there were kids because somebody had an armoire for like $30,000, and they're sending children. And I said, who are these people? I have nothing to do with it. Oh, you're in a pizza. I guess you think, what, Kia's next? Is IKEA? Kia's a car. Is IKEA trafficking too? Are you one of those nuts? You see what they did? Because we have two problems. Number one, we have the bad guys refocusing and readdressing our narrative. But then we have some folks in our groups who go crazy. Oh my God, they go crazy. And I don't want to get too much into this, but they'll say, well, there's a substance. I'll just call it this. oxidized adrenaline. I think you know this. These blood theories and blood processes and blood ceremonies and exsanguination and vampirism and not to mention there were stories from Hollywood about how they would try to, quote, recycle. Remember the story of Keith Richards? Remember they said he had his blood cycled through? It never happened. He went to rehab and he was kidding. You don't recycle blood. It doesn't. Anyway. So that's another one. And then they got these other people who are talking about, again, children who were involved in the most excruciating and horrible of tortures. And then, okay, you know that story. I'm not signing on to that. I've heard that, but there are other people who say, "Ooh, I'll take that one too." It's like ooh, that's a great one. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Do you have any evidence of this? Do you have evidence of this? Where is this happening? I don't know. So that's why I say, look, let's just take it easy here. The next thing you know, and let me say something also, when you present a narrative, when you present a storyline that blows people's minds, I had it on September the 11th of 2001, Building 7 at 5:20 p.m. fell into its own footprint at free fall speeds. Wasn't hit by anything. When people heard that, they turned to me. We said, "Oh, so what do you say? Well, what's your theory? Well, why did it drop?" And I said, "I don't know. It's your story. I don't have any theories. But I don't think carpet fires brought down a building of this size in its footprint at free fall speeds when it wasn't hit by anything." Well, what do you suggest? Oh, you're a lunatic. And then the whole movement, I'm giving this as an example. One woman said it was directed energy weapon. Oh, my folks love DEW. Love it. I speak for the conspiratorium. Ooh. And any kind of weather manipulation. HARP. Any kind of anything. HARP. Anything involving an operation. MK Ultra, paperclip. Love it. If you can work that into it, you're golden. But at the time, I said, I never brought up directed energy weapon. Well, you're into that. You're a truther, aren't you? And they also want to take your belief and they want to subsume it under a huge rubric that covers 1,000 different. So that's like me saying, oh, Christianity. Oh, the story about what? The carpenter who got the virgin pregnant from the angel and the owl heard with the trumpet? Yeah, right. No, wait a minute. First of all, that's not Christianity. Number two, that's blasphemous. Number three, nobody thinks this. That's the way you depicted it. And that's what they do to us. They love to write the narrative for us. And when they come up with this ridiculous narrative, then they put it into their fact-finding, Wikipedia, whatever it is, and then they debunk that. So what I want you to do is do me a favor. When you talk to somebody about either Pizzagate or anything involving that, that's not the issue. Because at its best, it's probable cause at best. There is nothing there other than step one, which indicates there's a lot of weird people who really love some things which I don't understand. Spirit cooking, Abramovich. See what I'm saying? People say, what? Spirit? What are you talking about? Remember, these people don't know anything, which is another rule. Don't hit them all. Don't hit them all with this. Don't deluge people. Don't bombard them with this in one fell swoop. What are you talking about? People love, in my group, they love to impress you with what they know. It's like Erica Kirk. All of a sudden, did you hear about Erica Kirk? Yeah. What about Fort Huachuca? What about Mitch Snow? What are you talking about? I don't know Fort what? Oh, you don't know about that, huh? You don't know anything. Well, I do. I know more than you do, and I know more than you. That's not the way you teach people. You always do things, you want them to think they've investigated this by themselves. You want them to think that maybe they're on a journey with you. Start off by saying, have you ever wondered why there seems to be more and more people who are trying to hurt children? What do you think that's about? Let your, let's say, friends start with that. What do you think that's about? And they'll answer this. If they want to go into this satanic, if they want to go into whatever it is, that's up to them. But I started off by saying, here's Pizzagate for dummies. Pizzagate is the precursor. Pizzagate is part of the environment, just like Tavistock and Franklin School and all this, Frankfurt School and all this. Throughout history, there's been these songs and these motives permeating. For example, in the 60s, everywhere there was the talk of mind expansion and Timothy Leary and tune out and freak out or whatever it was. And yes, there was a theme of drug use. So does that mean that the 60s music scene was all about drug use? No. So does that mean that everybody in Washington is part of some kind of a pedophile conspiracy? No. What does it mean? It means there's a whole lot of stuff. Let me ask you a question. If I invited you over to my place and I had a picture of a little girl, a painting, with her arms on a table with wrapping tape or, boxing or packing tape, taping their arms down. And if I had a replica or a gold statue or some type of one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victim in some kind of weird contorted, and then I got a picture over there of a kid hiding in a box, and I got a picture. What would you think of me? What would you think? Would you say, why do you have all this? Why do you have this? Why? I got 12 different emails from you, and you talk about pizza. Do you know what the FBI says in this PDF? Are you aware of this? Isn't that interesting? Why are you doing this? Was there a pizza party? You're a very educated person. You've been an advisor to presidents, and you've got 40 different detailed emails about this party you're having, where you speak about pizza like a Neanderthal would. Do you want more of the bread with the cheese on it? What is this? Let them answer the question. So you want me to think that all of a sudden you're some pizzaiola from, you have some penchant, some penchant for deep dish versus, come on. Now, why are they doing this? I have no idea. I will tell you this much. There are levels of information that we know. There's a regular, the internet. Then there's kind of, not the dark web, not the way you think about it, but there's another group. There's another group of people out there. There's blind gossip, and there's people in the business, and a collective understanding as to what goes on in Hollywood. First, you would not believe the number of people who are gay. Why is that important? Hollywood constantly wants us to have our children, to transition. We want to have puberty blockers. We want weird, pronouns for other people. But yet, when they themselves, in their own particular journey, could make a big impact by telling the world, hey, guess what? I'm gay or whatever. Oh, no, because that would ruin their career. Oh, no. And if I gave you the list that everybody in Hollywood knows, everybody knows this, your jaw would drop. Your jaw would drop. See, because middle America has a hard time with this sometimes. Give you an example. Remember years ago when Ellen DeGeneres said she's going to come out? Ellen DeGeneres is coming out. Oh, Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell's coming out. Or she did, okay. When I did a lot of stand-up then, I was kind of like, this is before comedy went into this, whatever this thing is, this version of some of the strangest people who are convinced they're geniuses. But I digress. But at the time, everybody in the comedy biz knew exactly Ellen and Rosie. It's like, we know this. What are you talking about? Maybe on the East Coast. But the people in Ohio, they didn't know this. They didn't know this. And it might hurt them. What if I told you I was an action hero, and it's important for you to believe that I am an action hero? and that I do this and that. But if somebody were secretly gay, it could affect your ability to associate or identify with the particular star on the screen. Now, women might be different. I don't think anybody cares about if Sharon Stone were gay. I don't think anybody cares about Sharon Stone to begin with. But women, there's a leeway, or I don't know what it is. Acceptable experimentation. I don't know what you want to call it. Okay. But men is a different story. So these same people who are part of the left and want all you kids, come on, show your pride. Have a pride. Where's the pride flag? Go on and tell, if you live in Dothan, Alabama, tell your friends, risk them beating your ass that you're gay in a southern town, in a rather rural high school. You can do it. What about you? Oh, no, not me. No, I'm not going to ruin my career. No. These people are so demented. You ever ask yourself this question? How come Hollywood, again, that word, I don't even know if we even have a Hollywood, but how are people in Hollywood, how do so many of them have kids who are transitioning? How does that work? How did so many people have so many kids who all of them are trans and want to be men? What? You don't think they're being paid by somebody to do this, do you? Or to promote, or maybe cajole, wheedle, persuade? No. Before a U.S. aid or USAID theoretically collapsed, I don't know if it did anymore, we found out that money was going to, careers. And there were people that I always wondered about. Rob Reiner. Rob Reiner was a 24/7 Trump tweeter. And I said, if I didn't know better, I would think that maybe he might not be doing this himself. Maybe somebody's making him do it. Robert De Niro, who's a moron, but he also was this 24/7 anti-Trump. In 2016, 17, I don't know what the word was, but Moby, the DJ or whatever he was, the bald-pated Moby, said that he was approached by what he called the CIA to basically either have, use, take, or sell his social media platform, which he had already developed viewers or subscribers, and wanted to send information that somehow Trump was involved in the Russian, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't that make sense? Let's take people who are already established, use their social media platforms. Like, where's Bette Midler? Remember that? And sometimes they just drop off. And when Rob Reiner, all of a sudden, when Trump won, he says, I gotta stop. I don't know if he cleaned his account, but he went into rehab or something. You don't go into rehab to rest. It's not a spa. It's not a resort. It's rehab. It's weird. A lot of these people, I wouldn't be surprised if what Moby said was right, people who were basically enlisted by the government and intel to use their site. Hollywood has been nothing but a propaganda mill since day one. And when Elon and others through Doge pretty much found what USAID was, it ruined everything. That's why all of a sudden you started to see studios fall apart, cable news shows drop. Eventually you're going to see the end of late night. Late night is dead. It's too expensive. It's an anachronism nobody cares about. So, going back to what I'm saying, you have a bunch of people, some in this weird kind of a elite world of entertainment who have these pensions, pension, I love that, for kids. That's number one. Plus you have European, you have also elites who are part of this weird kind of an eyes wide shut thing. When you have a bunch of European leaders who are a bunch of homozygotic inbred reptiles, their sexual expression gets a little strange, and it normally has to do with violence and predation. So throw that into the mix. Now you've got a brand new group of people, brand new, newly minted billionaires who wipe themselves with $100 bills. They want to find something new. What else can they get into? Have you tried drugs? The drugs, whatever. How about weird lifestyles? How about the subjugation and predation of children? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Would you like to go to our parties? You could wear a mask. Remember the Plaza Hotel? Remember the black and white ball with the mask? They've been doing this forever. What do you think the mask is for? You think that's what? Happens to have a mask? You don't remember. They love symbolism. They love semiotics. They love symbology. They love these people. But take all these people. You can say, hey, newly minted billionaire. Come on, I want you to meet these fellows. This is Lord Marmaduke, whatever it is. The Habsburg, by the way, speaking of the inbred, look at the Habsburg jaw, which is, look at John Kerry in that, anyway. Not to digress, which I am. So they have these people who are involved in this weird, strange stuff. You've got these half-ass, subliterate, all of a sudden these hip-hop purveyors who all of a sudden are making millions, and they decide, I'm going to wear some kind of a religious or some type of satanic outfit. We're going to go like this, and we're going to do like this, and make hand signals and go like that. Because it's part of this. These people are as moronic. Look at Diddy and Jay-Z. Put these two together, you could scrape enough brain cells for maybe a soap dish or a speed bump. But yet they've got a lot of money, and they're easily manipulated. And they want to get in. They want to find new ways, not just to be rich, not to buy the Cristal in the VIP room. They want to say, "Ooh, have you heard this new thing? I'm into the Birkin bag? Nah, I'm into something better. I'm into the occult. I'm into predation. I'm into child sacrifice. I'm into really? That sounds interesting. Yeah, it's cool. Why? Because it's the latest trend. We don't know what the hell we're doing. And a lot of people will go along with it because many of them are freaks. And children have been expendable since the beginning of time. They have been this idea of taking innocence and destroying it and using the power that once held together this beauteousness and to destroy it. So let me just, I've said too much. It's never stopped me before. Let me just recap this. Take whatever you want to say about Pizzagate. Yeah, just forget it. Just put it aside. Don't even bring it up. Because they're going to say, that's been debunked. No, it hasn't been debunked. You debunked a narrative you decided was the narrative, and we're not going to do that. So just do me a favor. Just don't bring it up. Investigate it all you want. Figure a way around it. But let's go right to the source. What are we doing to children? And why are so many people around the world ostensibly involved in what appears to be? And one more thing. If you wanted to get kids, where would you go? As a former prosecutor, I did a lot of seminars, and we had, especially when I was in the juvenile division, when we would go after dependency, abuse, neglect, dependency, child exploitation, you name it. The people who target children, again, the predators, not the pedophiles, because there are people who sometimes have ideations about cannibalism. They don't do that either, but doesn't matter. Where would you go? They used to go to the mall, game rooms, little leagues, priests. Not that they all are, but that's where you would go. Remember Connie Francis says, where the boys are? Well, this is where the kids are. And that's where you go. And the best place, if you wanted to get them wholesale, is have an orphanage overseas, kind of sort of regulated, get a named person to run it, and nobody will give you any problem whatsoever. Because you're trying to save kids. It's an orphanage. Orphanages are good, right? Well, what goes wrong in an orphanage? You're trying to help these kids. Especially in countries where children are born without birth certificates, without any recordation, and throw into the mix unaccompanied youth who are involved in this country. Where do they go? Oh, I know where they go. But you don't want to hear about this. And it has nothing to do with Pizzagate. That is a distortion. That is a distraction. That is an obfuscation. That is the barrel man. That's the rodeo clown. That's the distraction. So I'm going to leave it there, okay? You have any questions or comments? I want to hear from you. I've got a section. I've got some questions for you, okay? But remember, we're on the same team here. We want to stop this. I want to stop this. But make sure we get the right name, the right nomenclature, the right appellations, the right taxonomy, the right names for this. And just do me a favor. They are ready to pounce on you. If you talk about Pizzagate is real, stop that. You don't have to call it that. You don't have to call it that. You don't have to do it. It's like, have you noticed how the other side, they'll go from climate change to global warming and back and forth. Where black people went to people of color, they're always changing the names of things, just like they changed the spelling. Mao Zedong was Mao Zedong. Now he's Mao Zedong. Peking, Beijing. Gaddafi was spelled with a K, a G, or a Q. Qatar, Qatar. We just go through these. We always are changing, always changing the rules. So you're not really sure. Am I in? Am I out? Am I a member of the club? You're a member of the club. Our goal is simple. Keep your hands off kids. You want to call this satanic? Fine. Keep your hands off kids. No more. No more. You want to call it Pizzagate? Fine. Keep your hands off kids. And we can also, and I'm going to throw one more thing. The Wiener laptop, give you a partial hint. Frazzle, do the rest of the math. You've heard these stories. I've heard these stories wherever. Where do they go? I don't know. But there are so many people who love the narrative so much, they will go with it. And they'll say, oh, this is interesting. So we're going to stop that. If there's no proof to it, I'm not interested. If there isn't proof, then that provides probable cause for me to investigate more. But probable cause and suspicion are not proof. We've got to maintain our credibility. We have to make sure that when we go after a particular subject and we try to help somebody, that there's something to it. Enough said. Okay? What do you think? Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And I've got a section of questions which I want you to answer. Please join me, answer them, and comment as you see fit.